Welcome back to Transaction Care. My name is Lillian Hernandez, but you can call me Lily like the flower because we are learning and growing together. And as you see, we have a special guest today, Priscilla Solorio. And yes, welcome. I'm going to give you guys a brief introduction about what she does and the services that she offers, but we're going to dive into this conversation, get to know her as well. And please leave your comments, your questions in the comment section. We want to interact and engage with everyone. But for now, let's jump into this conversation I'm very excited to have. So, Priscilla is the owner of TC Robot, a transaction coordinator company serving real estate agents throughout California. So, California realtors, if you're looking for someone, Priscilla is available. Since 2016, and we're going to put an asterisk on that 2016 because I want to talk about that. She has coordinated hundreds of residential transactions and is passionate about creating smooth, organized closings that allow agents to focus on growing their businesses. And outside of real estate, Priscilla is a widowed mom, a paralegal student, and enjoys reading, dancing, and gaming. So I love it. She's a very dynamic person that I'm excited to get to know. So let's do so. Hi, Priscilla. Welcome. And thank you for doing this. We just had a little bit of a pre-call, so it was nice to get to know you off camera, but I want to share your story with everyone as well. So 10 years, congratulations as well on
Thank you.
that. It's a big deal. 10 plus, as I said earlier, there's a little bit of an asterisk. We'll get into that story in a second. So with that said, 100 transactions, how did we get here? How did real estate become a part of your life? Do you remember the first time you ever heard the word or the words transaction coordinator? Let's take it back to the beginning, where it first got
Yeah,
started.
I do remember actually. But I would say that the real estate career kind of started with my mom when I was about 16 years old.
Oh,
She was a
wow.
title officer while I was growing up.
The head
Yeah,
honcho,
the head honcho.
the real real estate professionals.
Yes, the ones that we all rely on, the
Yes.
recordings and everything.
Mhm.
So she would take me into work on occasion back when, there's a lot of paper files and
Yeah.
in the middle of between, a bunch of computer work and paper files. So I remember she had the bright idea in her office to make everything paperless. So she
Oh,
wanted my help to scan all of their documents into the computer, and she paid me for that. And I was super excited to get money. So that was my
for
first little
sure.
introduction to real estate. And then I turned into an adult and I was looking for a job. I had tried a couple of jobs that I wasn't pleased with, which was basically telemarketing
Mm.
and retail. And as I was on Craigslist looking for a job, I saw there was a job about uploading documents, and I was like, I've done that.
Right.
Um, so I applied for it, and it was Coldwell Banker. It
Mm.
was basically a job where they wanted us to upload all of the real estate documentation into their new, at the time, cloud called Homebase. But
Oh,
now,
that sounds so familiar.
yeah, now I think they don't use Homebase, or I
No.
think it's different now. But yeah, it was Homebase. It was brand new for them. It was basically a transaction compliance system. And so I got the job, and at 19 years old, that's
Wow.
when, in 2013, I was uploading a whole bunch of documents for 3 years straight. It was really boring, but I liked the money because I remember when
Who
they offered
wouldn't?
me, right? When they offered me the position, they're like, how much do you want to make? And I was like, 12 sounds good. They're like, what about 15? And I was like, that sounds
Ooh,
better.
ballin'.
Yeah, so I felt so rich. I was just this 19-year-old girl renting out a room in Irvine. So yeah, I decided, okay, I like it here, but I was starting to get a little bored. And
Mhm.
then my cousin, who tried her hand at real estate, being a real estate agent, she said an agent in her office, she worked at the Coldwell Banker Newport office, had been asking people if they know somebody wanting to be a transaction coordinator assistant. And I
Okay.
was like, oh, interesting. Okay. I want to try that. I mean, I already know all the forums. I don't know what they do, but I know their
Right.
names.
Right. I've scanned millions of them.
Yeah, I saw so many of them. And I was actually the fastest uploader, uploading 300 documents a day. So I saw
Okay.
so many. And so I applied and I got the job. and I left the Coldwell Banker, said goodbyes. And then it was interesting because right when I left Coldwell Banker for that job, one of the file auditors was like, "Oh, what are you going to do next?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to try to be a transaction coordinator assistant." And she was like, "Oh." And I was like, "What? Is that bad?"
Right.
And she was like, "It's a dog eat dog
Yeah.
world out there. You got to be careful." And I was like, "Okay." And I was just like, that was weird. I was just in my little comfy, you
Right.
know,
Scanning.
headphones on, just uploading things. And yeah, I got hired with an independent company called West Coast Real Estate Transaction Coordinators. And it was owned previously by a real estate agent who then
Mm.
sold it to another real estate agent. And a TC was working in that company, but while the agent was collecting the checks and giving her a cut, basically.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
And she needed help, as I guess, as she had too much work. And so she hired two of us. And between us two, I started learning what the forums did. I
Mhm.
started learning the processes. And I really enjoyed it. I was so happy talking to all these different types of parties versus nobody at all.
Right. I can
And,
imagine.
um, and I was having a great time, but unfortunately, it didn't work out because it was a little bit, I don't want to like be that person that talks crap, but the
Yeah.
agent that owned it was not very nice. And
Mm.
she had told me you need to get more files. And I was like, that's not what you hired me for. I'm not in
Oh,
sales. Um,
interesting. Yeah.
and yeah, and she was like, well, if you don't do that, we're gonna cut your pay from 40,000 to $150 per closing. And I was like,
Wait, wait
that's
for
nothing.
like a salary to then commission based?
Yeah. And she wanted me to sign that. And she's like, since you can't do more than that, then do $150 per closing. That's how much we'll pay you. And I was only closing like 10 a month from what the other TC was handing me.
Right. Red flags all around. First,
Yeah.
time
So I was
out, time
like,
out. It's so unethical. It sounds
I
very
know, I was like,
unethical.
I can't afford my life on like less than $2,000 a month. Like that's
Right.
crazy. So I said no. And she yelled at me. And she said that I was ungrateful, that she regrets ever having been teaching me anything. And I was like, okay, I'm out of here. So
Wow.
yeah, I quit that. And then I went to what was it? I went to Compass.
Okay.
Compass was hiring another uploader, basically. And I was like,
And
I guess I'll go back to that.
yeah, and this is around so now you've been in the industry for this is the prior 3 years before you became
Mm.
a full-time transact or just a transaction coordinator in general, right?
Hmm.
And I do want to emphasize the fact that how you got your start because a lot of people nowadays, especially and maybe I'm a part of the problem as well, thinking that
Hmm.
transaction coordination is just this quick, easy, like I can quit my job and be a TC. And we'll get into all of this shortly, but you started as part-time job. I was smiling because I was just like, is she telling my story? Because I was 19, just wanted a job to make money for burritos and
Hmm.
CDs. I'm a little older than you. I'm
Basically.
gauging on the timelines, but yeah, I just super basic needs, not too much, not too little.
Hmm.
But it really is a dog world, and you didn't give up. So there was already resilience even at a young age of 19, 20. We're growing up, we're forced into this reality of I have to make money. But then
Hmm.
how dare she yell at you and turn this on you because she's unable to do the side of her job or outsource help somewhere else.
Hmm.
And the reason I wanted to pause this conversation is because you kind of have to get in where you fit in when it comes to real estate. But
Exactly.
but at the same time, no matter how desperate or hungry or broke or whatever you need for money, it shouldn't ever result in people yelling at you
Exactly.
or demoralizing you or demeaning you, or disrespecting you, all the like strong like D words that are bad. They shouldn't treat you, that way ever. So for those that are
Hmm.
listening, I'm glad Priscilla's sharing this part of the story because if you find yourself in that situation right now, she's about to tell us how she got out of that and 10 years later, that's, you know, it's a lot to talk about, but these beginning stages and these beginning steps are all a part of the bigger story. So thank you for sharing that and pointing that out. And it's not to talk bad about anyone or put them down, but it's
Yeah.
more so to, again, shed light on the reality of this industry. Is behind closed doors, there's a lot of stuff happening that people in the outside world don't see. And
Hmm.
this is not a show to expose all of that. It's simply just to know like this is how you get out of those situations. So
Yes.
let's continue. So now you're like F this lady.
Hmm. Basically, what I had told her, because she got really unprofessional. She was
Yeah,
cussing at me and yelling at me, calling me
terrible.
names. So I remember in that moment, I was like, "You're acting really unprofessional. I'm
Hmm.
gonna walk away." And I did just that. It was very much exactly that. Like, this is really unprofessional. Bye. So that's
Yeah.
how I handled that. And she begged me to help the TC that was training me like catch up on the files that I had taken over.
Hmm.
And I was like, not the way you treated me. I don't
Right.
really want to do that. And she's like, what if I pay you for the last 2 days of the pay period? And I was like, okay. So I did do that and walked her through it for like 20 minutes. And then yeah, and then I left and she never bugged me again. Neither did the other TC who was training me, which unfortunately she was also just as unprofessional.
Oh God.
Yeah. Um,
And to pause real quick, you're 19, 20 at this point.
at the time I was 22.
Okay, still very young.
Hmm.
I imagine they were probably a little older, seasoned. I don't want to use age as a factor,
Yes,
but it just goes to show you like the level of maturity in any industry in life. Age is not always a factor because you are clearly the
correct.
more mature and the more, I guess, calm one in this situation, the most level-headed.
I
Like the
think
fact that, yeah.
that's actually been a really positive strength about me in the workplace is that I am level-headed. I
Mhm.
don't let stress get to me. I'm just like, okay, let's calm down.
No,
Um,
that's such a great asset. It's a
it
strong
is.
suit, because not everyone, that's a learned trait for most of us, the ability to have to like walk away. I probably would have cried if I
Oh
was
yeah,
in your shoes. Maybe you did behind closed doors, but
I didn't actually.
it's
I
good for
think
you.
in my head they were just being very emotionally unstable. So I kind of just was like, why would I? I wasn't affected by that
I
because
love
it
that.
was just so out of this world that I was more shocked than I
Yeah.
was hurt.
Like this is
Um,
embarrassing for you.
yeah,
Like
that's never happened in the rest of my career, so it was kind of crazy.
right,
But
right.
I do want to touch on the age thing that I do
Yeah.
think that in real estate, people tend to be older
Hmm.
because when I was 19 years old working at Coldwell Banker, the second oldest person to me was 26.
Oh wow.
So that was quite the gap. I
Hmm.
was by far one of the youngest people there. I no, I was the youngest people in
Yeah.
that corporate office.
Yeah.
Youngest person, sorry. So it is you are working with a lot of people who are older than you. And I do remember in that
Yeah.
co-op banker position, there was a woman who was probably 40, 50 years older than me, who
Wow.
I was in charge of. And that was
Yeah.
also difficult because she didn't really take me seriously.
Hmm.
Um, and my superiors talked to her about it, but it's still something challenging as a young person in real estate.
For sure.
But I navigated it and I came out unscathed, I would say. But after that, I did leave. I think right before Compass, I went back to Coldwell Banker as a file auditor.
Okay.
And that's kind of when a medical issue started bugging me.
Mm.
As a woman, we have womanly things,
Yeah.
and unfortunately, whenever I would start my menstrual cycle, it would be extremely painful.
Oh
And
no.
it wasn't like that before when I started working at Coldwell Banker, but it started getting that way around that time. So I had asked, since we had portable laptops that we could take with us if we needed,
Hmm.
I asked if I could work from home on one day of the month on that day, so I didn't have to suffer in a cold office.
Right. Running back
Um,
and forth. I get it, man. I get it.
yes, yes. And she said no. Yeah, I would need a doctor's note. And I was like, okay. I didn't like spending
Right.
money on the doctor. That's one thing, another thing about I've been learning about intersectionality and about how different identities affect you in your life.
Yeah.
Um, as a Latina, I was taught not to go to the doctor. Like, unless you're dying, don't go to the doctor. It's
Right.
expensive. It's wasted money. They're just gonna tell you, it's this, and you could have just told yourself that.
Or the flip side, I'm half Mexican. Or the flip side, it's like, don't go to the doctor, you're gonna die.
Yeah, or that. Like, don't
It's
don't
so
avoid the bad
extreme.
news. Avoid the
Yeah.
bad news. Yeah. So I was like, go to the doctor. Okay, like I guess I'll
But it
pay for a
hurts.
note. Yeah. So I went to the doctor. They diagnosed me with a painful period thing. And I went back and I told them, this is what it is. And the doctor said I could. They still fired me. And because I was having the painful periods and I was calling out on those days. And I was like, that's sad because I really liked this company when I first worked with them.
Yeah.
So then I went to Compass. Compass allowed me to work from home that one day. And I thought that was awesome.
Yeah.
And they gave me a brand new Apple laptop. Compass was like the top of their game at the time,
It's not that difficult. It's not
No,
that difficult to keep
no,
your great employees when you have them. A
exactly.
little accommodation goes a long way.
100%. It was just once a month, especially after COVID started.
Yeah.
All the people that all of a sudden couldn't work from home were working from home.
It became possible. A
hmm
business model that was once unfathomable became the norm.
Exactly. And that worked out pretty well, up until maybe like a year and a half into it, where I I had become a stepmother along the way.
Okay.
So yeah, I got married to my husband when I was 26, but I took on the stepmother role at 22. So
Mm,
my husband had a 5-year-old son whose mother was not in the picture at all.
okay.
So
Okay.
she was off doing things that she should not have been doing. But um, I took on that role and I became a co-parent with my husband of a child I didn't necessarily birth. But I was fine with it because in my head, I loved him. He was a cute little boy, freckles, so
Hmm.
cute. So I basically became a mother. And I had told my boss, who became my new boss, so he wasn't my old boss. I told my new boss, if I could work from home half of the day
Yeah.
so that I could pick him up from school. I couldn't afford childcare. My husband
Hmm.
and I together could not afford childcare. Um,
It's expensive.
it is. It was like $1,300 a month.
Yeah.
And I was like, ugh. So at first he said okay, and then he changed his mind and was like, no, I need you in the office. And I was like,
Mm,
what do I do with my son? And I was like, I'm so sorry, but I don't really know what. And he's like, I get childcare. Why can't you? And I was like, you probably make like 2 times my salary.
yeah, let's
So
pull out our W-2s right now and
yeah,
let's check the bottom line, guys.
exactly. And I thought that was a little bit insensitive, but he
A
found
lot of it.
ways. Yeah, he found ways to. And kind of thinking about that too is this didn't fall on my husband. It
Hmm.
fell on me.
Hmm.
And I at the time made more than my husband did. So I didn't want to lose my job.
Right.
But I was the one whose job was at risk because it's not normal for men to figure out how to balance a child and their job. It was before I came along. But after I came into the picture, it was my response. I think I just took it on naturally. I'm not saying like he forced it on me, but I was just like, oh,
No,
it's my responsibility. I gotta figure out how to
yeah.
take care of the kid. Um, so I got fired from that literally 1 week before my wedding. And
Oh
that
my
was difficult.
gosh.
Yeah, that was difficult. But my husband and I had been legally married before that, but my mom was insistent on a wedding. So we threw a wedding 9 months after we got married. And I got pregnant at that same time. So um, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do for work? And I was feeling so nauseous. I tried a mortgage place, but I couldn't
Yeah.
stop going to the bathroom and throwing
Hmm.
up.
Hmm.
So they fired me. And I'm sorry, then I found Transactly, which Transactly was a very interesting experience for me. I really liked it, but they just paid too little.
Oh,
It was basically you contracted for them and you worked under their label and they would hand you all these different agents,
okay.
which was great, but they they kind of didn't understand what TCs had to do, I think, because I remember they gave me a whole office from Riverside for only 250 a file
Oh my God.
because their office had agreed that they would use them as long as they had that discount.
Oh,
Yeah, and I was like, but and they sent me so much work. So it wasn't even like a little bit. It was probably like 30 files just from their office at
like
250.
life, yeah, I was gonna say life-changing numbers at the regular rate,
Hmm.
but life altering in a negative way
Exactly.
by the capacity of
And
the number.
it was interesting because they also required you to do a lot more than the normal TC. So I was entering their
Mhm.
MLS. I was opening all their files for them. I was uploading for them. On top of being a TC, I was basically like an agent assistant
Right,
for
right.
them at
Yeah.
250 a file. So
I want to pause right there for a
go
second
ahead.
because I get this question a lot in my DMs, my emails. Like, should I be doing all of this work? And I was like, it's honestly up to you,
It is.
but do not undervalue this amount of work. No matter how, like I said earlier, money is great and all, but not all money is good money.
Hmm.
And you have to price up. And if they say no, you have to just let them say no because there is someone out there that's going to say yes eventually.
Yeah.
But all of this work that they want you to do is the job of like 2 to 3 people, sometimes 5 people. So once again, I think all of us have, many of us have experienced something similar to this effect where,
Yeah.
oh, okay, I guess I'm supposed to be doing this. Let me try it. But go ahead. Yeah, I can only imagine
No, you're
the,
right.
the demands of it all.
It happens a lot. I think that's with any support role.
Mhm.
They take you and think, oh, you're support, so here's everything that I have.
Yeah.
And of course, our goal is to take as much as possible off their hands within reason.
Within reason.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So I had to quit Transactly, and I that's when I started kind of thinking about going on my own because I was like,
Okay.
if I had this much work and I can handle this much work, I can get
Hmm.
paid a lot more on my own.
Yeah.
But I was still kind of scared to take the leap. So then I went to Roofstock, and Roofstock was a really good company as well. But then this is kind of when like some behaviors that I also have ADHD. It was diagnosed when I was 18, but
Okay.
I didn't really deal with it for a long time. Um, and then it started really coming out in 2020-ish, 2021. When once I had another child and my
Mm.
attention was just split all over the place.
Yeah.
Um, and my company enjoyed my work, but I started developing this habit that when I got overwhelmed, I shut down.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, and it's not a good habit, obviously. And I had to work through it for a little bit, but they unfortunately, saw that and they're like, okay, well, we kind of have to fire you. And I was like, I
Yeah.
don't really blame you at this point. But right around that time is when I finally started TC Robot. And I was talking to my husband about it, and I was like, you know what, maybe they're just sending me too much work. And Roofstock had like a model where I was a transaction coordinator for different states, but at the same time, states had different rules.
Yeah.
So Ohio is the one that really stands out in my mind, where you can't be a TC on your own. You have to go through a broker that constantly has to like verbally or in written form approve every action you do as a TC. So sending
Oh,
out disclosures, sending out signatures, getting an addendum, all that had to go through a broker. So it just felt overwhelming for me to be like
pausing all
having
the
to take another
time.
step. Yeah, every
Yeah.
single step. So that's why I had shut down. So I was telling my husband, like, I think I could start my own business. I know there are people that are contacting me from my previous
Hmm.
positions and they want me as their TC. And he was like, yeah, I don't see why not. Why don't you give it a try? And I was like, okay, let's do it. And so
Yeah.
I was like, what should I name it? He's like, well, what's something that stands out about your work? And I was like, well, I'm always called efficient. I'm always told that I'm fast and that I'm level-headed. And he was like a robot. And I was like, yeah, like a robot. And he's like, what about TC Robot? And I was like, yeah, I love that. So I named it TC Robot. And I started off, and all these agents were just so excited to use me, but I couldn't scale my business fast. So I was still using Roofstock as to kind of like offset.
Okay.
But then I got fired, and then I kept going with my business. And shortly after that, I started my business in February 2021. So
Okay.
a year after my husband died.
Mm,
Yeah, and that was a sad, very unexpected tragedy for me, especially because we were also in the middle of me adopting the child that I had taken on as my own.
oh, wow.
Yeah. Because like I said, his mother had been absent. She kind of tries to come in and out. But she's been absent out of his life for a total of 10 years if you put it together. And
Mm,
he's 15 now. So at the time it was basically his entire life.
right. Basically, yeah, that he's aware of.
Basically. Hmm.
So you're inheriting all
Um,
of this.
it was a lot of personal
Yeah,
baggage. And
absolutely.
when my husband died, I definitely shut down. Basically, what had happened is that one random Wednesday afternoon, he went back to work because I couldn't sustain us with my TC robot business. Um, and he had gone to work that morning. And I was like trying to juggle the kids because I'm like, okay, well, you have to go into an office, but I can work from home. So
Mhm.
I'll take the oldest to baseball while I take care of our little one. As I was taking him to baseball, I got a text message from his coworker saying, "Hey, can our boss call you? Can he have your phone number?" I was like, "That's a weird question. I've
Yeah.
never been asked that about somebody's boss, but yeah, sure." And I started getting antsy. I'm a very impatient person, which
Mhm.
is why I'm a great TC in my opinion.
Yeah.
I'm always
Yeah.
following
You
up.
definitely need to be a go-getter in this
Yeah.
industry.
So, I was like, okay, I'm very patient. So I didn't know where his new office was yet. I used his location. I took the kids to the location. And my oldest is like, I just want to go to baseball. I was like, hold on, we just gotta check on dad. Like, he was showing signs. Unfortunately, my husband had an addiction problem that I didn't ever have to deal with until that very moment. I
Oh,
was dealing with it for the past month, but I didn't know what it was. So,
okay.
I was just thinking in my head, like, what if he fell asleep? And because he'd fallen asleep and not been easy to wake up, but he wasn't obviously dead before. He just
Hmm.
was very
Super
deep asleep.
unconscious or
Yeah.
super on one. Yeah.
So I was thinking, I was like, what if he's fallen asleep and they can't wake him up and they feel uncomfortable like shaking him or something? I was like, I gotta go shake him. That
Yeah.
was my thought process.
Yeah.
So I went to their office. There was a CSI van.
Wow.
Um, yeah, and I didn't think anything of it still. You don't really think, oh, that's for me, or that's because of something that's related
Right.
to me.
You're just in the motions of your regular day to day. You're still
Yeah,
distracted
I'm
by
just like trying to figure out what's
momming.
happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. The cop is like, "Hey, what are you here for? Like, what are you trying to do?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm here to go visit my husband." And he's like, "Who's your husband?" And I said, "Oh, Ruben Solorio." And then he was like, "Oh, can you like step aside for a little bit?" And I was like, "Why?" And he
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, you just got to talk to you." And I was like, "Okay." So I did, and they came over and they said, "Do you want to sit down?" I was like, "What's going on?" At this point, I'm worried. I'm like, "What if he's in the hospital or something?" And they're like, do you want to sit down? I was like, no, can you please just tell me what's going on? And
Right.
that's when they told me, your husband was found deceased in his work bathroom. Um, he had, he was found with narcotics. Did you know he was using narcotics? And I was like, no. And my first reaction was just like, you gotta be kidding. Like, are you
Mm.
kidding? Are you joking? And he was like, no, ma'am, I'm sorry. And I was like, you're joking. And he was like, no, I'm really sorry. And I was like, mm. And then I heard the oldest crying in the car, and that kind of snapped me out of my slight fog. And I went to, hug him. He's like, I heard the cop through the car. And I was like,
Oh
oh my God.
no.
And so I was trying to hug him, and then my youngest started crying because my oldest was crying.
Right.
So they were 11 and 1. And And so I tried to hold him, but I was so out of it. Like that's the least maternal I'd ever been.
I
That
mean,
was
I
just
don't blame you.
so
You can't be.
so out of it. Yeah.
You're not even, no one is themselves when they hear shocking news like that or devastating
Yeah.
news like that, especially publicly, like around
Mm-hmm.
getting it from people you don't know in a
Yep.
setting that is unfamiliar, that is supposed to be a safe space, to go to
Hmm.
work, to provide things of that nature. So
Exactly.
no one can be expected to just, all right, guys, well, let's go to McDonald's and get a Happy Meal so I can deal with
Exactly.
this. Like, no, like everything fell apart instantly for
No,
you. And
100%.
you were already carrying a lot of, like I said, you inherited a lot of love, essentially, but also through that love comes a lot of baggage for
Responsibilities, yeah, and
responsibilities. And,
baggage.
and you were dealing with that also still at a young age, but and I don't, I didn't mean to interrupt or stop you,
No, no
but
worries.
essentially it's like you're having to balance all this while also having to manage and figure out your career in the midst of all of this.
Exactly.
And then now you're having to plan a funeral? Like what is
Oh my God.
life? What is life? Like
Exactly.
forget these jobs, forget this career. Like what just happened? Why?
Hmm.
And
Not just that, but deal with an investigation.
right.
Um,
Oh my God. That
mhm.
didn't even click for me just now. It didn't even register. So that's heavy.
Yes,
It's very heavy to navigate and work through. So again, thank you for sharing
100%.
that. Thank you for sharing and bringing that up because and feel free to, talk about as much of it as you would like. But most importantly, I want to emphasize many people out there are grieving a loved one at many levels, whether they're alive and just not doing well, or you having to sacrifice your career to take care of them, or
Hmm.
even a sudden loss. And through this, obviously you're still here, you're doing well. TC Robot is still functioning and here, but now we're in a season for you in your life where again you're having to pick up this other heavy bag of
Hmm.
feelings and emotions and I need
Yes.
money. I need this. I just lost a whole person.
Hmm.
So now, how did you navigate this unfortunate season of your life? And was
Actually,
there a moment when you wanted to just quit and give it all up?
yes, absolutely there was. As soon as my husband was gone, I honestly didn't even want to live anymore.
Mm.
Um, I, I, the only thing keeping me here was my children. Um, and fighting for Tyler, whose maternal grandfather, had decided he would do a better job raising him than I have been for the last, at the time, 6 years. So I had to go to court at the same time. So I had court, I had an investigation for my husband's drug,
Oh wow.
not drug use, because it's not it's not a crime to do drugs, it's a crime to sell drugs. So somebody sold him those drugs. So
Oh,
that's
so
the
that was
crime that
the
was being investigated.
got it.
And I was 100% with getting those guys caught.
For sure.
Um,
I get it.
yeah, court, TCing, being a mom, grief. It was a lot. But one thing that really helped, and I had joined the TC page on Facebook, which I believe you're also a part of.
Yeah, that's how
Um,
I got familiar with your name, seeing
yeah,
you in the comments. Yeah.
exactly. That page has been a godsend, not just for my career, but also in that moment. I had basically said my husband died. I had posted about it and I said, can anybody cover me? How much would it cost? Because I cannot work like I don't even want to think about contingency releases right now. Like um ironically, another TC, I will name her because I believe she does coverage work as well. Maggie Newell,
Okay.
she reached out and she had told me that she had also been through a very similar situation. I don't want to give away too many
Of
personal
course.
issues
No.
details, but she's also a widow. And she offered to do my files for free for the week. I know. I was like, what? I was like, no, I'll pay you. And she's like, no, you deal with
Wow.
what you got to do. I know what you're dealing with right now. You have paperwork to do. You have police people to visit. You have a funeral to plan. Just do what you got to do. I'll be taking care of it. Don't worry. I was like, oh my gosh. She was amazing. Yeah,
Wow.
I loved her for that. So I think that when you are a TC and you are especially a part of that group, um, there really is a sense of community within
Hmm.
us. And I know that we're always helping each other. We don't get paid to help each other,
Right.
and, but we do. And that's something that I really enjoyed about becoming part of that TC community. So that helped a lot while I planned and grieved. Obviously, nobody could take over files long enough to properly grieve, but
Of course.
it helped having to get through all of like the processes, the having to cremate my husband, having to collect the ashes and all that other
Right.
stuff. But I did end up losing agents throughout that period anyway, not
Hmm.
because of Maggie, but because a few of my agents know the the hardships that come with grief, and and because of that they
Oh,
were looking out for their business. I can't really blame them.
yeah.
They weren't totally wrong. It was a hard, I would
Okay.
say like 3 years, 2 to
Okay.
3 years.
So when did that happen? What's excuse me, what's the timeline of that?
2022.
2022. Wow.
June.
And of course, condolences.
Yeah.
That's not easy to go through in any capacity. I'm glad you brought up how that impacted how people perceived you,
Hmm.
because on one end, you don't want to lose business, but then on the other end, all you want to do is just grieve and be
Hmm.
sad and have someone tell you you can be sad. But the reality is you can't.
Yeah, exactly.
And I remember when I lost my grandma a year into being self-employed in 2019, I hated everything about
Hmm.
work because she was essentially helped raise me alongside my mom and my dad. Just
Yeah.
like I grew up in a very loving household, but there's something about a grandparent that does from birth up into your adulthood to where it's like that's to me that was the most consistent love I ever experienced. So
Yeah.
when that went away, I didn't realize how much it impacted me until she physically left.
Right.
And then the pandemic happened a year later, or
Hmm.
6 months, 6 to 8 months later, because she passed in May 2019. So now I'm thinking, I hate real estate. I really hate it. I
Hmm.
really hate what it represents. I really hate what people are, the dog eat dog world mentality,
Hmm.
the gatekeepers. I really, I got really angry. I got very resentful towards all of it. I had to do a lot of my own internal work to get where I am today as well. But when you're having to navigate lost, lost to that magnitude, you're not present. And
Hmm.
it's so terrible that there isn't, and maybe something from this conversation will spark it, but there isn't like a deeper support system. And shout out to Maggie, that was her name, right?
Yeah,
Who stepped into that role for you because even just 1 week of coverage makes such a big difference. And
it does.
that's why I emphasize community. That's why I'm opening up my platform to bring people like yourself on here to talk about this stuff because that's what I mean when I say this is the real in real estate.
Hmm.
I don't mean, oh, you missed a deadline. Now you're gonna get, you have to deal with an awkward conversation. No, I'm talking about how are you gonna manage alone because you're self-employed,
Yeah,
solo, not a corporation. You don't have employees, nothing,
correct.
So now it's like, wait. I can't just call off for 2 weeks and use my PTO. Like I
Exactly.
am the PTO. Oh crap. I
Hmm.
didn't, there's so many factors that you don't consider until you're faced with those realities. So now you have to lose business for a human experience that we all go through.
Exactly.
But for me, I didn't realize until after my grandma passing was like one of many I had experienced, but there was something about her seeing someone live a full life because she passed in her late 80s or something like that, that made me realize, oh my God, there are people in this world that have never lost anyone.
Yeah. I used
And
to be one of them, and you used to be one of them.
yeah, and they're navigating this world in a way that I'm not saying you weren't compassionate or empathetic, you just weren't
No,
aware.
I 100% agree with you.
You know what I mean? So
It gives you a new awareness.
it totally new awareness. And I already
Mhm.
had that awareness. but I never acted on it or it never fully impacted me until I became self-employed.
Hmm.
So now you're grieving, you're having to start all over, and you're grieving more than one person, unfortunately, you know? So then TC Robot has to be the engine in a sense because you as a human are broken. So the
Correct.
robot is like, let's put these pieces together, let's function somehow, some way.
Basically,
And
yeah.
this is all fairly recent. So kudos to
Hmm.
you because grief is everlasting. It's ever present. It's ongoing. You just learn to manage it. So for anyone out there that may be grieving someone or something, even a career, a job, because you've mentioned several times that you were let go, you were fired. But I see that as like preparation
Hmm.
for
I
these
agree.
seasons of your life. And
Mhm.
so now fast forward to, okay, this has happened. It's
Hmm.
done. Where do you now start to rebuild your new foundation?
So I actually tried to give up on TC Robot because it just wasn't making me enough. It was, not completely a loss, but it was just not enough to support my family on my own, which was now on me.
Hmm.
And on top of the legal fees with fighting for my oldest
Right.
and the emotional implications along with that as well with any custody battle. I had to quit TC Robot in order to become more stable. And it was something that really hurt me to my core because it was like my baby,
Mhm.
and I do love being a transaction coordinator. That's something that I fell in love with from the get-go. But I just kind of had to face the music that I needed a normal job with normal PTO, normal sick time so that I could support my family.
Right.
Um,
Just a little
and
bit of stability during this
exactly.
tumultuous time.
Exactly.
Hmm.
So I had told all my agents, I'm closing up shop. I love every one of you and I love enjoying working with every one of you. But unfortunately I need to think smarter
Hmm.
financially.
Yeah.
And one of them said okay, and I gave them I think like three TCs that I trust, here's these TCs, reach out to them and they can be your TC. But there was like we mentioned in our pre-call, you said the boomerang,
Yeah.
it is really hard to quit TCA,
It
especially if you
is.
love it. Because when you love something, it shows in your work. And when an agent loves your work, agents are really loyal, in my
Hmm.
opinion. It's
Yeah.
very hard for them to bounce from one person to another.
Hmm.
So when they find somebody they like, they don't like letting go.
Yeah.
So,
Some of the hardest conversations I had were telling people I need to just let go of some of my roster.
mhm.
But on the flip side, I've had a few where they had no problem letting me go either. So,
Yeah, some of them were like, "Oh, okay, bye."
yeah.
But there are those ones that like, "No, don't leave." So I said goodbye. I got a job, and then two of my agents were like, "Priscilla, I
I
don't
need
care
you.
if you work nights. I don't care if you do my files at midnight whenever you want. If you just check in once a week,
Wow.
please TC for me." And I was like, okay. I mean, it's an extra. I think that, yeah, I charge $500 minimum. It's an extra $500 a month at least. All
I
right,
want to
fine.
I want to point out how that speaks to your level of professionalism, skill level, because honestly, that's ideal. That is like a golden ticket situation
Hmm.
because typically TCs work like the standard like 9 to 5 hours.
Exactly.
There are other TCs that are around the clock, but then when they're saying it's okay to work after hours and we don't have to talk,
Exactly. They're like, I trust you. These are the
yeah.
agents that don't text me, don't call me. They don't do anything. They just like let me know if I need to do something.
And I think yeah, and I think
Those are
that
the best kind.
those are the best kind, and I think that's where the love is developed. It's not
Hmm.
that we love paper or pushing papers all day. It's the relationships, the connection,
Exactly.
communication, the level of respect, but most importantly, let's not forget the freedom, the
Hmm.
flexibility. And if you can have realtors, because they do exist, be on the same page as you is like, I just want you to, I trust your work. And
Hmm.
I know it's going to get done. I don't care when you do it, but can
Exactly.
you specifically do it? So I'm noticing a pattern here. It's like all these things, anytime you try to go explore or do something else, again, like I said, that boomerang, you try to get rid of it and it
Hmm.
comes back and knocks you in the head.
Exactly.
That's how I view real estate. I keep saying I'm going to make it my logo, but I keep forgetting because but it's so
That's a good
true.
one.
So now it's like it keeps knocking on your door. It's a
Yeah.
subtle knock and then it's now turning into a banging. And again, this is very recent. So
Hmm.
now you're at a job. And also, I'm glad you shared that because many people throughout this journey think they have to quit their job or leave their job to do this. And then they end up
Hmm.
struggling because the reality is, if you're not fully mentally committed to this role as a solopreneur, entrepreneur, as a business, it will suffer.
Yes.
There are
Yep.
so many moving parts when it comes to like TCing is one aspect of it, which to me, it's not rocket science,
Hmm.
but the business dealings of it all, the
Exactly.
time management, stuff like that. So how are you now doing all of that as you're trying to find some new stability in your life, make some money, but also getting these phone calls, getting these emails like, we need you back.
Well, now, or sorry, at that time, I did, work for a couple of companies doing something random that I didn't like, receptionist duties, basically. And then another thing fell in my lap, which was I'm so big on manifesting,
Mhm.
but it was content creation. And so
Ah,
I love gaming, as you said it earlier, and I started streaming. So I go on Twitch and I stream myself playing video games, and I, you know, made a little community. And through that, I actually met my current boyfriend who introduced me to things like you should go back to school, like if you're I think you're really smart. And I didn't graduate school because, like I said, ADHD, my mom had convinced me that school wasn't for me, versus kind of teaching me how to manage it. She didn't know, I don't
yeah.
really blame her. But so I
Oh,
tried
yeah.
again
I
and
dropped out of school as well, so don't
yeah,
worry.
yeah, I dropped out too, but I picked it back up in 2024 and now I'm studying to be a paralegal, so that I can have something that's also higher paying alongside my TC job. Because TCing, I know some people are so busy
Yeah.
and I still don't know how they do it because despite me being able to handle as much as I can, and I know that because I've worked for brokerages who
Hmm.
hand you a ton of work for very little money.
Right.
Um, I haven't been able to scale my business to that point. So it's just been the content creation has been really helpful. It's actually become my main source of income. And
Wow.
yeah, and it pays the bills minimum. And then TCing kind of helps me have a little bit of saving money. So TCing is still my baby, still my passion. I cannot give it up no matter how hard I try. Um,
Same. Same.
and so it's great. And now I'm like doing content creation. I'm making a ton of ads through TikTok, and I've been making about $4,000 a month doing that. Yeah, so I've been a very happy camper. Um, and I found that TCing is just something that I love doing because it challenges me. And I'm
Mhm.
even thinking about being a paralegal to a real estate attorney.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, if I'm gonna keep, I love real estate, I really do.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting to me how one thing I always laugh about that I used to talk about with my old coworkers is like, imagine that we're working with all this paperwork, selling all these homes, and we don't even own one yet. And I was like, I know,
That part.
that's me.
That
I'm
part.
still not a homeowner, and I've been in the business for 13 years, so
Oh my gosh, Priscilla, you are speaking my language in more ways than one.
yes.
It's like I'm listening to myself talk, It's
Hmm. Yeah,
and that this is why I want to hear other people's stories and share them with you all that are listening or watching because there's no two stories are ever alike or no two paths are ever alike because
exactly.
you brought up something, a whole other world that I'm actively working on. I'm not even going to use the word trying. I am actively working on breaking into this, which is why I'm doing these interviews. And just this morning, like I was thinking, I need to get on Twitch. I need to get on Twitch. I don't know if it's going to be for this brand or something separate because I have another YouTube following that I've built as well around sports because I love
Hmm.
sports. And it's so important to have interest outside of just the one business that we run because
I
you'll go
agree.
crazy. You will go crazy just doing files all day,
100%.
text messages, emails. Can you work on this? What's the status of this? When you after you've spent the last 20 minutes crafting this beautiful email with everything listed out. Now I'm projecting. After you've just created this long email
Hmm.
giving them the perfect update down to the penny if it was, if you had to, only for them to call you or text you, "Hey, so what's going on with that file?
Oh my
I
gosh.
haven't heard from you. Can you give me an update?" It's like, please refresh your inbox. What is going on?
I don't just check your emails.
Just check your
No, I
email.
actually am coming up. So I invested in a transaction management system that's gonna
Oh,
solve all my problems regarding TC. It's not like anything I'm selling. So it's really just for TC Robot for now, at least.
okay.
Maybe I'll like consider it in the future, but for now it's for TC Robot. I
You don't have to share
hired
any private, don't share any private details if anything's
no,
not
yeah,
public.
no worries.
Don't,
Yeah.
I just, but let's get into that now. You know, let's talk about systems and,
Hmm.
the logistics of this job because it's still something you do. It is still something you do. I'm so glad you brought up the content creation conversation because maybe I'll have you back to talk about that element
Oh yeah, no worries.
because I'm in a lot of my coaching sessions, I tell people if you have a skill, a talent, a love, a passion, you need to be on social media, live streaming,
100%.
doing shorts, vlogs. I don't care what it is. Even if you don't want to show your face, then just do voice, do hands, do something, but
I
just
actually
do
want to say something about that.
it.
I went viral without showing my face like
See?
5 times.
See?
Yeah.
It's like there's so many different pockets and worlds and a small tangent. I just watched like Streamer University over the weekend where a bunch of
Hmm.
content I was so invested in it, and I'm 42 years old and
Hmm.
this is a world I've always enjoyed and loved and
The
you
I Love
know,
Puzzles lady, so wholesome.
and she's from the Bay Area. She grew up
Right?
in Oakland, so I'm like, "Oh, she's hometown."
Hmm.
So, she just grew up right across the bay from me, but that is definitely those are conversation I'm definitely going to have on this show as well. But I want to get into, as we wrap up this conversation, first of all, thank you.
Sounds good.
You've shared a lot with us that is very empowering, to say the least,
Thank
because
you.
it's not easy to talk about your grief or what you've gone through, especially to that magnitude. But I know it can impact and inspire people, or at least helps someone maybe get over that hump of like struggling with whatever it is that they're carrying.
Yeah.
Maybe not necessarily like a loss of a person, but maybe just loss of themselves,
Anything
and
really.
you're a testament to just showing up every day, one brick at a, laying one brick at a time, one step at a time, sometimes even 1 second at a time, because it's just not easy to carry that much weight alone. But
Exactly.
in the grand scheme of things, we aren't alone. And
Exactly.
community is so key, and collaboration is key, and shout out to that TC that helped you during that most pivotal time because this is now unfolded into a gaming career, a streaming career, a social media content creation career that you said pays the bills. That is
Yeah.
not where
Yes.
that's not where I thought this conversation was going to go. I'm gonna be real with you guys because I read her bio and I saw gaming and I just thought it was a hobby, a passion, that she does to take her mind off of things. Like we had a pre-call, but we had never met. Like we never really shared our stories. I said in the pre-call, I was like, "Yeah, I see your content, I see your posts." And it's like I already talked to you.
And
And
I'm really good with keeping everything separate. So my gaming
yeah,
is separate from my teaching, content,
I
all
had
that stuff.
no idea. I had no idea.
Hmm.
And the fact that you said you've gone viral, it supports you. Hashtag goals because that is a world that is not
Everything I
easy.
manifested, it was amazing.
No,
It is
you're
amazing.
inspiring me right now. Like I want to like spark up my Twitch right now and just like get it officially going. I don't know if it's maybe I'll schedule a discovery call with you later.
Okay.
So let's wrap up this conversation, bring
Sounds
it
good.
back to transaction coordination because for those that are still embarking in this as a job, a space, it's okay to do it part-time or to find that one crew of realtors that are really good that trust you, but you have to be good at your job. You still have to show up. You still have to be level-headed, have a level of respect and respect for the craft because it's not easy to manage all these. So you said you're investing in a program to help with TC Robot, which is great. Outside of that, what is your day-to-day like in terms of managing your TC business?
Yeah, so at the moment I'm incredibly slow. So I've been trying to come up with more content to kind of spread the word to agents, and I have gotten a few agent follows because of it. So I'm just ramping that up now that I have a slower season. But just a typical glide, which is every TC in California's best friend. Um, right now I'm using Real Estate Lifeline as well as for my transaction program.
Yeah, shout out to
Um,
Christina.
yeah, awesome, awesome stuff. I loved it. The only reason I'm coming up with my own is mainly because there's just things that are specific to me that
Mm,
that's why I'm not really looking to sell it to anybody. The specific to me that I want for my business. And some features that I'm so excited about are it reads the contract by itself. You upload it and all you gotta do is double check so that there's less data entry. And then
huge.
huge, and then, which is great, and it reads all the counters too, and addendums. But of course, I'm always going to double check it.
Of
And
course,
then
you have to.
you
You
have
have
to.
to.
Another thing is it's going to allow me to text my agents through the system versus through my phone. It will allow me to generate social media posts for my content.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's so cool. And what it does is you just
I
basically
might be
put
number two on that list.
right? You basically just select your transaction in the drop down, and then it drafts like a sold or pending. You just like the status pending, sold, listing, active, and then it generates a little picture. You upload the picture of the
Oh, that's
property.
so
I'm
cool.
like,
That's a game changer. That I don't
I
want you to give away
know,
too much. I don't want to. I don't want to give
I
you.
love
I don't
it.
want you to give away too much of your sauce. But I'm ready, loving what I'm hearing from this because
Yes.
that's a whole other conversation that you and I can have. But I definitely will have this in the future, whether you want to come
Hmm.
back. You're more than welcome to come back, by the way, and we can
Oh
talk about
yeah.
this stuff. But AI, the inception of AI, like it's
Hmm.
been here, but now it's like taking over. Like we can't avoid it. And
Exactly.
I can tell you're already implementing it into your business to make your career a lot easier because you can't walk away from real estate. You can't walk away. I myself either. I thought I was going to quit July 1st. No joke. I even called my realtor. I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's too slow. This is the first, like June was the first month I had where they didn't give me any new business. Not that they were
Mm,
hiding it from me. They were just like,
they don't have
it's an
anything.
oddly slow month, and
Hmm.
I've gone down. I guess I would consider myself part-time, but this is not my podcast. This is yours. This is your episode. Okay.
No, I mean, I love to hear it.
Yeah, I love how you've pivoted through every season of your life, how you gave yourself time to just be and to
Hmm.
grieve and to live and to rediscover who you are. And you're still young and thriving. And I love that you are so dynamic and you're not just all real estate because sometimes that one thing could disappear. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And
It's
who's to
very
say?
volatile real estate.
Very volatile. So for those that are out there considering this industry, if you have other passions or interests, like don't just throw those away for real estate. Like work your way
Exactly.
into this space, like see if there are other TCs that maybe need help first before you dive into the deep end. But 10 years in officially, 10 plus years in officially, you've shared so much with us. And I wish we could keep talking, but I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Well, maybe we'll do a part two, towards the end of the year or something to that effect.
Yeah, of
But 10 plus years in the game, you've shared so much with us. Thank you for being vulnerable and honest,
course.
um, and not gatekeeping any of this information. There's so much more I would love to ask you, but to summarize, you 10 plus years ago to now, what is it that, what is one of the things that you're most proud of in this journey? But also, what is something you would want to give or tell yourself from back then that could potentially, inspire or empower someone in your shoes back then that is doing it, trying to do it today?
Good questions. I would say that I'm most proud of my tenacity. Without it, I don't think I'd be where I am. Yeah.
Hmm. I
And
love that.
then,
I love that.
yeah, and then as something I would tell maybe baby TC Priscilla
Mhm.
is honestly just keep being you. You've done nothing wrong.
Oh,
You're gonna be awesome. I would
that's
just tell her that.
oh,
Like you're
that's
gonna be
so
great.
cool. That's so cool. I think that that's a perfect way to wrap up this conversation. But
Mhm.
before we do, please let everyone know how they can find you, like your website, social media handles.
Yeah, my handles are at TC Robot RE on Instagram and TikTok. You can reach me at Priscilla at tcrobotre.com. And you can also find my website at tcrobotre.com. Yeah, I do offer a $100 discount for any new clients. So come on over.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Priscilla. Any last parting words, last call? But this
No,
was such a cool conversation. I'm so glad we officially met online and not just in the comment section.
me too.
You brought up so many gems. I can't wait to go back and edit this episode and rewatch everything from a fan perspective, from a viewer's perspective, because yeah, your story is amazing. I really appreciate you taking the time to have this conversation and more to come. This won't be the first or, this isn't the last time she'll be on here. There's more. This isn't just like an interview show. Like I'm on here just because we're recording. It's like a friendship show. Like, hey, what else? Yeah, me too. I did that too. So, if you guys have any questions for Priscilla or you want to work with her, all of her information will be in the description below. Visit her website, add her on social media, say hello. And as soon as you get done watching this video, make sure you add her on all socials. And if you're a realtor or broker looking for a TC in California, oh, and where do you service? What areas do you service? All of California?
All of California.
Anywhere outside of California?
I do outside of California. I can do any state. Honestly, if you're a TC in California, you can be a TC anywhere.
That's the truth.
Hmm.
Okay, so that's perfect. So if you're looking for a TC in the state of California or outside, she's ready. Priscilla, you've been amazing. I truly thank you. Thank you guys for listening and watching wherever you're at in the world. I'm so grateful for your time. Each and every week we've been doing this. And until the next conversation, my name is Lillian Hernandez, and this is Transaction Care. Care for yourself, care for your wealth. Your time is worth it. Let's coordinate. Talk soon. Thank you, Priscilla.
Bye.